Hello, this video has been made for Barnes Farm Junior School, where junior school children have asked questions about Islam, and I have been asked to answer them. So the first question is, what is the significance of the hijab? The hijab is actually a head covering, which is a sign of modesty and is like a uniform so that Muslim women can be recognized as practicing Muslims. In the past, nuns, they have always covered their hair and have been modestly dressed. If you look at pictures of Mary, Jesus's mum, she's always wearing a scarf on her head. If you ask your grandmothers or your great-grandmothers, you may ask them, what did you wear for church? And they would say, we always wore a hat. Even ladies in the olden days never went out without a hat. I'm going to quickly share a video of ladies who are wearing the hijab even here in Britain.
What's fascinating is the girls' hair is all covered, so women do not show long hair. So you see the girls, the shawls are completely covering them, and you don't see their hair at all, you just see their faces. There's all this debate now about the hijab and about women covering their hair, and we forget that. We've lost that as part of our culture, that 100 years ago you wouldn't walk out in the streets of Lancashire with your hair down.
So that is actually a video which shows that that was actually the dress code in Britain as well, right up to Victorian times. So it's not just confined for women who are in a church or a place of worship. It is there for all practicing ladies who, even outside of their places of worship, dress so that they are recognized as religious people. And we would definitely cover our hair if we were, for example, reading the Quran, which is our holy book, or if we visited the mosque, then we would also definitely be covering our hair. But some ladies, they wear their hijab outside as well to show people that they are practicing Muslim women. Okay, let's move on now to the next question. Is it difficult finding time to pray 5 times a day? It definitely isn't. Prayer only takes a couple of minutes, and it actually structures our whole day so that all our other activities can then be neatly slotted into the times of prayer. And it actually makes our life easier to follow a routine. And also what it does is it helps us to remember God the whole day rather than just remember him once in the morning and then forget about him for the rest of the day, which is exactly what was happening before Islam came. Before Islam came, people had completely forgotten about God, which is why prayer was then reintroduced, following on from the previous religions. Okay, moving on to the next question that you all asked was, why do you have to pray at certain times in the day? Now, there's a reason for that, because when God said pray 5 times a day, do you think anybody would have bothered? Unless we've got a clear timetable, which makes it easier for us to follow. So we have got a natural timetable based on the sun, because at the time Islam came, there were no clocks. People only had daylight to go by. So our prayer times are based around the sun, because there were no clocks, something that people could naturally see, and distributes the remembering of God equally throughout the whole day. So this is why we pray at certain times, such as just before sunrise, then midday, then afternoon, then evening, and then night. It distributes the prayers all throughout the whole day and structures our whole day very neatly. So in between those prayers, which are at such great times, because then we can get all our morning work done before the lunchtime prayer, and then we can get all our other work done before the mid-afternoon prayer, and then everything by evening. It structures our whole day, and they're very good times actually, distributed around in exactly the right times really, that are required for us to have a little break, if you like, from our working day as well. Okay, the next question is, why does the washing of hands, wudu, which is the exact Arabic word for the washing activity, have to be done in specific ways? Because first of all, a specific ritual in sequence actually helps us to remember and makes sure that we don't leave out any body parts, the main ones that we have to wash. A ritual makes it easier, and it prepares us to be respectful in front of God, ready to pray. The routine is the same throughout the whole world, because then that means that everybody in the whole world, when they pray, have washed exactly the same parts, and then we are all exactly the same. How do Muslims think the world was created? The creation story is actually very similar to that is in the Bible. We believe that God made the world. God made everything in the world, everything. And we also believe in the same Adam and Eve story, which is actually in the Bible. The same story is also in the Quran, about Adam and Eve being the first people that were made, and the whole story of, eating from the forbidden tree and everything. But in terms of the world, God made the whole world, including everything in it. And that's why we have to look after it. How do Muslims pray during school? Now, first of all, when it comes to children, they do not need to pray until they are young teenagers. That's when it becomes compulsory on them. However, children, they can practice from a young age. It's easier if children practice with their families at a young age, because try telling teenagers to pray 5 times a day in Arabic, it's not going to happen. So for children during school time, it's only really the lunchtime prayer that would fall within the school day. They can either wait, in the summer especially, until they get home, because you can read the lunchtime prayer up to about 4:30 nowadays, and they can do that at home. However, if they do want to pray according to the exact time of the lunchtime prayer, then if they're allocated a small quiet space, an empty classroom, for example, when it is lunchtime and everybody's in the dining room, then they can pray very easily. All you need really is a quiet space and a clean floor where they can just put the prayer mat on top, which makes any floor surface clean anyway, and then they can pray. It will only take a few minutes. That is actually quite easy, to be honest. You can pray anywhere. How do children manage to fast during Ramadan? Again, children do not need to fast. It is compulsory only for young, healthy adults, and they can pray and also fast, maybe at home when it is weekends, or they can practice with their families. Some children, they do half a fast, where they don't eat breakfast, but they will, for example, eat at lunchtime. But they definitely would not be required to do all 30 fasts, which are approximately 12 hours. They would probably practice maybe a few, 1 or 2, or maybe a week or so, or in the holidays, or at lunchtimes. If they do decide to fast, and it is their own choice, but although parents would need to monitor them, then they would have to get up early in the morning. They would have to have a nice, big, heavy breakfast that will keep them filled up for most of the day, and plenty of water as well to keep them hydrated. And then they would open their fast. Basically, they would be missing lunch, and then they would open their fast in the evening with food. So it is possible, but most parents, they would only allow their children to do a few, especially if they are under the age of 12, which you all are, because this is a primary school, junior school. So I hope that has answered all your questions. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to answer your questions. And if you have got any questions in the future, just let your teacher know, and then she can email me. Okay? All right then. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye for now.